Zoroastrianism. In Zoroastrianism, there are different angel-like figures. For example, each person has one guardian angel called Fravashi. They patronize human beings and other creatures and also manifest God's energy. The Amesha Spentus have often been regarded as angels, although there is no direct reference to them conveying messages, but are rather emanations of Ahura Mazda, wise Lord God. They initially appeared in an abstract fashion, and then later became personalized, associated with various aspects of creation. In Judaism, angels, Hebrew Kalm Amalek messenger, are understood through interpretation of the Tanakh and in a long tradition as supernatural beings who stand by God in heaven, but are strictly to be distinguished from God, Yechboe, and are subordinate to him. Occasionally, they can show selected people God's will and instructions. In the Jewish tradition, they are also inferior to humans since they have no will of their own and are able to carry out only one divine command. Hebrew Bible. The Torah uses the Hebrew terms Alhaim Malak, Malak Kulohim, messenger of God, Yav Malak, Malak Yahweh, messenger of the Lord, Alhaim Beonoi, Bene Elohim, sons of God, and Haj Kavod Shim, HaKodeshim D, the Holy Ones, to refer to beings traditionally interpreted as angels. Later texts use other terms such as Halivnim, Ha'elyonim, the upper ones. The term Amalak, Malak, is also used in other books of the Hebrew Bible. In the early stages of Hebrew writings, the term refers to human messengers, not to supernatural entities. A human messenger might be a prophet or priest, such as Malachi, my messenger. The Greek superscription in the Septuagint translation states the book of Malachi was written by the hand of his messenger, Agelu, Angelu. Examples of a supernatural messenger are the Malak Heo, who is either a messenger from God, an aspect of God, such as the Logos, or God himself as the messenger, the theophanic angel. Michael D. Coogan notes that it is only in the late books that the terms come to mean the benevolent, semi-divine beings familiar from later mythology and art. Daniel is the biblical book to refer to individual angels by name, mentioning Gabriel in Daniel 9:21 and Michael in Daniel 10:13. These angels are part of Daniel's apocalyptic visions and are an important part of apocalyptic literature. In Daniel 7, Daniel receives a dream vision from God. As Daniel watches, the Ancient of Days takes his seat on the throne of heaven and sits in judgment in the midst of the heavenly court. An angel like a son of man approaches the Ancient One in the clouds of heaven and is given everlasting kingship. Coogan explains the development of this concept of angels. In the post-exilic period, with the development of explicit monotheism, these divine beings, the sons of God, who were members of the Divine Council, were in effect demoted to what are now known as angels. Understood as beings created by God but immortal and thus superior to humans. This conception of angels is best understood in contrast to demons and is often thought to be influenced by the ancient Persian religious tradition of Zoroastrianism, which viewed the world as a battleground between forces of good and forces of evil, between light and darkness. One of these is Hashatan, a figure depicted in, among other places, the Book of Job. According to Rabbinic Judaism, the angels have no bodies but are eternally living creatures created out of fire. The Babylonian Talmud reads as, the Torah was not given to ministering angels. Hsh Tlam La Ki Tvrh Ntnhla, usually understood as a concession to humans' imperfection, in contrast to the angels. Thus, they occasionally appear in Midrashim as competition with humans. The angels, as heavenly beings, strictly following the laws of God, become jealous of God's affection for man. Humans, by following the Torah in prayer, by resisting evil instincts, Yetzer Hara, and by Teshuvah, are preferred to the flawless angels. As a result, they are also inferior to humans in the Jewish tradition. In the Midrash, the plural of El Elohim, used in Genesis in relation to the creation of human beings, is explained by the presence of angels. God therefore consulted with the angels, but made the final decision alone. This story serves as an example teaching that the powerful should also consult with the weak. God's own final decision highlights God's undisputable omnipotence. In post-biblical Judaism, Certain angels took on particular significance and developed unique personalities and roles. Although these archangels were believed to rank among the heavenly host, no systematic hierarchy ever developed. Metatron is considered one of the highest of the angels in Merkabah and Kabbalah. Mysticism and often serves as a scribe. He is briefly mentioned in the Talmud and figures prominently in Merkabah mystical texts. Michael, who serves as a warrior and advocate for Israel, Daniel 10-13, is looked upon particularly fondly. Gabriel is mentioned in the Book of Daniel, Daniel 8:15-17, and briefly in the Talmud, as well as in many Merkabah mystical texts. There is no evidence in Judaism for the worship of angels, but there is evidence for the invocation and sometimes even conjuration of. Philo of Alexandria identifies the angel with the Logos, inasmuch as the angel is the immaterial voice of God. The angel is something different from God himself, but is conceived as God's instrument. 4 classes of ministering angels minister and utter praise before the Holy One. Blessed be he. The first camp led by Michael on his right, the second camp led by Gabriel on his left, the third camp led by Uriel before him, and the fourth camp led by Raphael behind him, and the Shekinah of the Holy One, blessed be he, is in the center. He is sitting on a throne high and exalted.